Willow Tower was an old, decaying building that stood ominously at the edge of the city. For years, it had been abandoned, its windows shattered, and its once grand facade covered in vines. Despite the eerie atmosphere, a few desperate souls still called it home, lured by the cheap rent and the city's housing shortage. One night, a young woman named Sara moved into the building, unaware of its sinister history. She was drawn to the spacious apartment on the top floor, charmed by the panoramic view of the city. The landlord, an elderly man with a nervous demeanor, warned her to stay away from the basement, muttering something about it being cursed. Ignoring his warning, Sara settled into her new home. But as night fell, strange things began to happen. It started with faint whispers echoing through the empty halls. At first, Sara thought it was just the wind, but the whispers grew louder. The whispers turned into frantic, unintelligible murmurs that seemed to come from within the walls. One evening, while she was unpacking, Sara noticed something odd, a faint outline of a door in her living room wall. It wasn't there before, she was certain of it. Curiosity got the better of her, and she pressed her hand against the wall. To her shock, the door creaked open, revealing a narrow, dark corridor that led downward. Despite a deep sense of unease, Sara grabbed a flashlight and ventured into the hidden passage. The air grew colder with each step, and the whispers turned into low growls. She descended into what seemed like an endless spiral, the light from her flashlight flickering ominously. At the bottom, she found herself in a damp, cavernous basement, far larger than the building itself. The walls were lined with old photographs of past tenants, each one crossed out with red paint. In the center of the room stood a large, wooden chest. Against her better judgment, Sara approached it. The moment she touched the chest, the basement door slammed shut behind her, plunging her into darkness. Panicking, she fumbled with the lock, finally prying it open. Inside, she found a collection of old dolls, their eyes missing, their faces twisted into grotesque expressions of fear. Suddenly, the growling grew louder. Sara felt a cold breath on her neck. She turned around to find herself face to face with a shadowy figure, its eyes glowing red in the darkness. It reached out to her with long, bony fingers, its touch sending a jolt of icy fear through her body. Sara screamed and bolted up the stairs, but the corridor seemed to stretch on endlessly. The whispers and growls turned into a deafening roar, the walls closing in around her. Just as she thought she was about to escape, the door to her apartment slammed shut, locking her inside. The next morning, the landlord found her apartment empty, the hidden door sealed shut as if it had never existed. Sara had vanished without a trace, leaving behind only the echo of her terrified screams. The other tenants, already fearful of the building's dark reputation, packed up and left that very day. Willow Tower stood vacant once more, its windows reflecting the cold, gray sky. The landlord knew it was only a matter of time before someone else would move in, drawn by the cheap rent, and the cycle would begin again. In the city's darkest corners, whispers of Willow Tower continued to spread, a place where the walls held secrets too horrifying to uncover, and where those who entered might never leave.